By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Hog Style. Sean, Alex, and Steve are here with you. It's the Eagles over the Redskins tonight, 34-24, Lincoln Financial Field. And it may not be Halloween yet, but we have spooky injuries and scary scores and all kinds of horror to talk about tonight. So let's get into it. We got to do our duty. We got to talk about this game, crushing though it may have been. So how are you guys doing, Steve and Alex?
Well, I'm fine. First of all, we'd just like to point out that this is our first Hogstye late night episode, so bear with us on this thing, because sometimes these, quite frankly, aren't our best. But we'll get through it. No, I mean the game was awful, and it was depressing and everything of the sort. So we're suffering Redskins fans right now.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part about doing Hogstye late night is the fact that the Redskins never win. So not only is it midnight, we're all just, angry.
Yeah,
so it makes
use up all your energy, following this team.
Yeah. Because
I liked how the Monday Night Football, announcing crew made a big point to say that Kirk Cousins is now 0-6 on Monday Night Football. It's like, thanks.
Right.
Thanks,
like
guys.
we didn't know that,
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
Got newsflash:
Exactly.
the Redskins suck on Monday Night Football.
It's the worst.
Well, let's go into a little more detail, unfortunately, about how much we did suck. You got the stats for us this week, Steve?
Yeah, let's do it. On paper, Kirk had a decent game. On paper, he was 30 of 40 for 303 yards, 6.7 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 4 sacks, 110.7 quarterback rating. Rushing was a totally different story as a team. There, 18 rushes for 75 yards. Chris Thompson was the leading rusher, 7 carries, 38 yards. Kirk Cousins, 3 of 18. Rob Kelly, 7 for 16. And Jameson Crowder had 1 carry for 3 yards.
Right.
And receiving-wise, have a lot to say about receiving today once we get there. Vernon Davis was our leading receiver, 4 receptions, 67 yards. Jordan Reed, 8 receptions, 64 yards, and most certainly his best game of the year, at least best half of the year. Josh Doxson.
No question there.
Yeah, Josh Doxson, 3 for 39. Niles Paul, 1 for 32. James Crowder, 2 for 28, and it goes down from there. Let me just run through the Eagles' offense since we're doing it. Carson Wentz was 17 of 25 for 268 yards, 10.7 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns for all you fantasy nerds out there, 1 interception, 126 point. Early in the first half, he had a quarterback rating of 1.8, by the way, and so it improved dramatically.
Jesus.
Rushing wise, he was also the leading rusher, 8 for 63. That really bit us in the behind. LeGarrette Blount, 14 carries, 29 yards. Wendell Smallwood, 8 for 25. As a team, the Eagles were 33 for 127 yards rushing, 3.8 yards per attempt. And predictably, Zach Ertz, the tight end, was the leading receiver, 5 for 89. Matt Collins, 1 for 64. Nelson Aguilar, 4 for 45, and it goes down from there.
Yeah.
So that is stats. And when I mean down, it literally goes down from there.
Yeah, no, that certainly summed up, I think, the important ones. Well, how do you guys want to take this first? Do you want to talk about Redskins offense first?
Yes, I want to talk about Redskins offense first.
You said you had a lot to talk about receiving. So.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, can we start on the receiving? Because I think this is getting to be a big issue that we need to talk
that's
about.
really what I wanted to start with. Because we acknowledge up front that there were a ton of injuries. I mean, they lost Brandon Scherff, they lost Trent Williams. Morgan Moses was half of Morgan Moses.
Spencer Long got hurt.
Yeah, Chase Brouillet was in at guard. I mean, and TJ Cummings. I mean, we recognize that the offensive line was a complete mess. But this team, no NFL team can win NFL football games without any downfield threat whatsoever.
Right.
This team is getting as close to zero production from the wide receiver core as any team in the NFL you'll ever find. I never in my wildest dreams imagined it would be this bad, recognizing we had some guys that had something to prove, but they have, to this date, have utterly failed to do anything whatsoever approaching a competent wide receiver core as a group. And that includes Jameson Crowder, although he did show some signs of life today for the first time. So,
yeah, I can't hold on to the ball, though.
No, I mean, we got to find a new punt returner, kick returner. The fact that we're using Thompson and Crowder, our 2 smallest guys in that role, is absurd. They get hit and, get hurt too easily. and they lose the ball. And yeah, I'm with you. This receiving core, listen, we said at the beginning of the year, most people were saying this, it could work out and it would be potentially one of the best receiving cores in the NFL, or it could all go south on us, and it's all gone south on us. And I'm at a point where you need to start bringing people off the street. Like you need to find like a hobo who maybe played well at some Division III school and run with him, because I don't know what else you're going to do at this point at receiver.
Well, you know what? Anthony Armstrong's selling real estate in Dallas, Texas right now. Maybe he can sign back up.
Yeah.
Somebody
Good
call
Lord.
Anthony. No,
Let's
I
not
mean,
do
look,
that.
I mean, I've been the one to tout the Terrell Pryor, horn a little bit.
You've always said, let's give him time. Let's give him time.
Well, you know what? What are we? Was this game 6? Game 6.
Yeah, we're at
this
game
is
6.
time enough. He's just not showing it. It's not working out.
It looks like he's just struggling to find his entire identity on this team, and he's just never in the right position. I don't know. Doesn't look good.
Yeah, well, but more importantly, I mean, the guy that was the weapon last year that is still here is Jamison Crowder, and I don't know what is going on with that guy. I don't know why he's not, catching balls. I don't know why he's not open. He's made almost no impact on this team the entire season. So it's not just Terrell Pryor and it's not just Josh Doxson. When your biggest weapon is Ryan Grant, you have a problem.
Right. Well, I think the Crowder thing.
Vernon Davis.
Let's say.
I'm talking just wide receiver core.
Yeah,
we're just talking wide receivers. I think the Crowder thing, it's very simple. He's a slot receiver. That's what he does. You don't want to put him on the edge. You don't want to have him playing outside of that slot role. If there's no one out there who's a threat, it takes away the openings that he had last year and the year before that. I don't think it's complicated more than just those simple X's and O's with his gameplay.
Yeah, I mean that may be true. I mean, I was not able to because of some logistical issues on my end. I was not able to keep a ton of stats today, but a couple guys I did keep track of were Doxson and Reed by quarter, and at the end of the first quarter, neither one of those guys had a target, 0 between the two of them. And so I mean, if the quarterback and listen, I mean the Redskins were in it in the first quarter. The offensive line was not a big mess in the first quarter. I don't know. I don't know if Kirk Cousins isn't comfortable with them. If the sort of the primary receiver identified in some of these plays, it just isn't those guys. Specifically Doxson. I don't know what is going on, but if the Redskins are going to salvage the season, they just have to change this. You cannot have Chris Thompson be the primary weapon on this team every single week.
No, and I think it's kind of wearing itself down. I mean, if you were to probably look at Thompson's numbers week in, week out, he's definitely on a downward slope because he's been used so much.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you can't really blame him. You can't expect a guy to carry 1/3 of the offense for 16 games. So, you expect the burnout. But, I mean, I'm with you, Steve. I don't really know what it is. You keep hearing the coaches want to see it in practice from Doxson before they, trust him in games. I don't think you have that luxury at this point. I don't think you have the luxury where you can just say, hey, let's wait around and wait for this guy to develop anymore. We need to...
You got to give him the targets.
You got to feed him. You got to give him 6-7 passes a game now.
And he only had 5.
Yeah.
And, I mean, am I wrong in thinking that we didn't have a single pass over about 20 or so yards in the air today, and recognizing there are offensive line problems? I don't think I'm wrong in that. I kind of missed some of the beginning of it.
No, I mean, TV. Maybe Davis had one deepish ball. Crowder had that one that was about 15 early on. That was about it, though.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we never stretched the field once.
Yeah,
and I think you just hit on it a little bit, Steve. I mean, how much of it, by extension, is just a result of the pressure tonight? I mean, this game was worse than I think we've seen it most of the season.
Yeah, but that didn't really, to me, that didn't really happen until the third quarter.
Yeah.
It was definitely much.
Yeah,
it was definitely much worse.
The team really came out flat in the third quarter, even without the injuries, and it just wasn't a competitive half.
Mm-hmm.
But to some extent, I have to blame the play calling in the first half, at least. You got to open the offense up. You just have to. You can't
Mm-hmm.
We just can't. You can't win football games like this.
Well,
And frankly, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but frankly, the Philadelphia secondary isn't exactly gangbusters. Okay, I mean, yeah, they have that awesome defensive line, but I mean, come on, they were starting a second string corner in the first place, and those guys aren't that good anyway.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
they
what
should
do you? I mean,
challenge.
define open the playbook up. I mean, what do you mean specifically that you would have had Jay do differently tonight?
You gotta. I think you have to let the quarterback challenge the safeties by going downfield 4 or 5 times a
Yeah,
game.
just more. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing. I just wonder if it really felt like he had the chance. I know it was much more in the third quarter, but I mean, that's really where the game got away. It didn't seem like it was that far out of hand until
Right.
then. I don't know. Bad all around. I think you have limited options in terms of how you're going to open up this offense.
Mm-hmm.
You got questions with your receiving core. You got major questions with your rush. Your running game.
And
opening up the offense might be a stretch.
Well, yeah, I mean, easier said than done, maybe. I mean, I understand your point. Because the running game just was utterly
It's not gonna
ineffective.
yeah,
not gonna happen.
but we knew that would going to be the case coming in because
I didn't know it was going to be this bad. If you'd said
I mean, did you
75
not
yards
remember
rushing,
week 1? Our running game was awful week 1.
Oh yeah, this is the same thing we see every week. Kirk Cousins and Chris Thompson 1 and 2. We see it every freaking week.
yeah, I had convinced myself though that week 1 was a little bit of an aberration. This was going to be better, and clearly I was mistaken.
Yeah. I would say it still struggled, and I think that's as much on Philly having a very good run stuffing defense as it is on our
Because
run the ball.
Running backs not named Chris Thompson had 19 yards rushing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually,
Rob Kelly.
3 of those were Jameson Crowder. So, I mean, Rob Kelly, 16 yards. He had a couple rushes that looked decent, too.
He did. He did. I mean, one thing that I think we don't take into account in this game in terms of why the teams really struggled in the second half, I saw this got posted by, I think it was Grant Paulson posted it. I don't remember. It was somebody like that. But that the Redskins offense wasn't on the field for 60 minutes straight real time at one point. That the defense, and it was to end the second half and start the third. That's 60 minutes.
Defense can't get off the field.
Yeah.
We knew that was going to happen, too, though. I mean, It's not a surprise. The Eagles are the number 1 time of possession team in the league.
But that's going to kill your defense, and it did. I mean,
that's why they needed to run the ball more.
Yeah. And can we talk about, by the way? Well, actually, no. Hold on. I'll hold it. Sorry. Okay. Continues.
Okay. All right. I mean, look. I mean, I think we said in the game preview that maybe there was an opportunity to do some damage in the passing game for sure, but number 1, they had to play mistake.
Yeah.
And in any phase of the game, and number 2, that's predicated on being able to run the ball at all in any way, shape, or form. And I was just surprised that it got as bad as it did. I mean, the only good news out of it is that Rob Kelly sort of looked like his old self in terms of injury. He didn't look like he had any residual effects of his.
That's a good positive to call out, Steve.
See, there had to be something.
I like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I was about to blurt out something about the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if you guys are done with offense.
I think we can switch. Let's.
Okay,
we're about halfway, right?
We can babble on about this forever if you want.
Well, no, let's not do that. But defense-wise, if anyone was curious how Wentz was able to escape that gigantic mass of people on that play, let me just tell you, it happens in Madden all the time. The computer glitches. The quarterback just pops out of a bubble of people unscathed at full speed. It's just a computer glitch, guys. That's how that happened.
Yeah. It was somebody. It was I don't know, whatever higher being you guys believe in. It was the higher power playing Madden up in heaven. That's how he got away.
I mean, it really was. No, that was
the
ugly.
Defense, I think overall did as good of a job scheme wise trying to contain Wentz as you can. We got a couple of sacks. I mean, he ran for a couple big yards on those busted plays, but I don't know on a play like that. There's no way you can scheme around.
No, but I mean, for Christ's sake, Carson Wentz is not in the Hall of Fame. Okay, it's Carson.
But he's the real deal, though. He is
I'm
the
not
real
saying
deal.
he's not the real deal, but I'm also saying that the man is not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Not yet, but he's 22.
I know, but
You're right. It's too early to say it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to do that. Someone should have made that tackle. Is that what you're going to say, Steve? Because I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but if you think back through the history of this team over the past decade, other than tight ends, what's the other thing that kills us consistently? Anybody speak up
Running
now? It's mobile.
quarterbacks,
Yes, it's
deep
mobile
threat wide
quarterbacks.
receivers,
Particularly the Eagles, who always seem to have
running backs who can
fast.
catch it out of the backfield, good kickers.
You're gonna go on and on and on and on. Okay, I
Fair
get
enough.
Possession wide receivers. I forgot that. Pulling guards, pulling centers,
Don't forget
backup
kickers that make
quarterbacks,
last second
third
too.
string quarterbacks. I think that's everything that beats us.
My point is, before Alex got smart about it, was to say that running quarterbacks have killed this team forever.
Right.
And,
Well, they kill every
how
team.
many times have we seen Tony Romo do this to us?
Sure.
And now Carson Wentz is doing it to us. Because really and truly, Carson Wentz's rushing is what turned the game, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no question.
Matter of fact, I wrote down one of my notes to myself was that's the dagger. Yeah, it was in the 9th drive. It was the one that looked like a sack. I thought the game was over. In that play that Sean mentioned earlier, it was just done over. But
well, it's that.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it was that ridiculous interception that Kirk threw, because I looked at that pretty closely and I don't think he was touched at all. Sorry, brief aside here because we're talking about defense, but we forgot to mention this.
I thought his arm was touched.
Yeah,
personally.
I thought his arm was pulled back.
I don't know. I think he just was feeling the heat. But you guys could be right. Sorry, we missed talking about that, so I wanted to know.
If his arm wasn't touched, that was the worst throw I've ever seen.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me run down defensive stats real fast.
Yes.
Okay, Zach Brown, 13 tackles, 1.4 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Mason Foster, 6 total tackles.
Brown.
Ryan Kerrigan had 6 tackles. They gave him a half a sack credit. Junior Gillette had a half a sack credit and a killer penalty, 5 tackles. DJ Swearinger, who we need to talk about, 4 tackles, and it goes down from there.
How does Kerrigan only get a half a sack credit? He was in on 2 sacks.
I know. I mean, but Zach Brown actually got the credit for the one you're thinking of. The second one, you're thinking of.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's why.
But Kerrigan was solo on the first, so I don't know who was counting. But
yeah. Anyway, this is ESPN stats, so take that for what you will. It just goes to show, because Redskins have been a pretty good sacking team for a long time, and yet our defenses stink. So it just goes to show that defense is about more than sacks. Number one. But we got to talk about DJ Swearinger.
Oh yeah. Well,
the worst game he's had since. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about specifically why they're soloing him on Zach Ertz the whole game? I mean, I said it from the beginning. You can't put Swearinger or Foster on Ertz and expect them to cover him. I don't know who is a better option, but those guys can't cover tight ends.
Was that we need to scheme.
Yeah.
Develop a scheme to double team Zach Ertz.
Right, and they did. And they did a good job when Brown was covering him of, kind of focusing on him.
But you know what, though? I mean, it's like a pick your poison kind of thing, because Zach Brown is key in the run game, too.
Right.
You can't just, if you take him out and sort of have him spy Zach Ertz, for lack of a better term, you're going to lose something in the run game.
I mean, what hurts you more, 80 yards and 2 touchdowns by Ertz or whatever he got? And
but it wasn't just Ertz that Swearinger got toasted by. He got beat by a wide receiver. It was by far his worst game as a Redskin.
Yeah.
He beat 3 or 4 times. Very publicly and visibly gave up 2 touchdowns. One because of a missed tackle. Mm-hmm. The other one because he just the guy just ran past him.
Well, he got beat on a little move, but it wasn't like anything big.
It was a double move, okay, but I mean the guy just basically ran past him.
Right.
So, very disappointing in that regard. What else do we have? What else do we want to say on defense? We have to have some insight here, people.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that it seemed like they did really well. I mean, speaking from big picture here, it seemed like they did really well at the beginning of the game, and then it was like right before halftime, towards halftime, they screwed the pooch. and then couldn't quite stop anything from there on out. It was kind of, I don't know, it was just like a war of attrition. I think they just got tired out there on the field the whole game. And penalties too.
You got to put, when you're playing good teams, you just can't give up. Like Junior Gillette has a sack, and well, no, that goes away because it was a face mask penalty associated with it. Dunbar had a face mask penalty. We gave up just tons and tons of yards and kept these drives alive again and again and again because of all the penalties.
Let's not discount the fact that we're playing with, a lot of guys hurt. Only, I go through the list, Steve, and I count 13 Redskins players who actually on defense recorded a stat. So I'm assuming more than 13 played, but that's not a lot. Usually you'll have 15, 16 guys at least, it feels like, recording some kind of tackle or, participating in some way every game. So if you have 13 guys for a full game, that burns them out.
There's no doubt that there's a ton of injuries.
Yeah.
That's not news. You're absolutely right. But the bottom line is, it's like a next man up kind of situation.
Right. If you don't have next men, then you're in real trouble.
Last I checked, 22 guys played.
Well,
scraping the bottom of the barrel, though, I think is the sort of, I hate to say it about our own guys, but that's kind of the problem that I think we have.
But the injuries really were more so on the offensive line tonight in terms of what happened in game.
In game, yeah. Oh, yeah. Four of your starters got hurt at one point.
Yeah, let's go over injuries.
It was a dirty hit on Scherf, by the way.
There were like three dirty hits on Scherf by that same guy. Who was that, Barnett?
I think so.
Yeah.
What was going on?
As we're recording this, we don't have the press conference has not happened yet, so we don't have any information specifically as to injuries. But if we need to summarize it all here, Brandon Scherf obviously went out. He was walking around on the sideline, so hopefully his knee doesn't look like he had torn ligaments. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been walking around.
It was Brandon Graham. He's having a hell of a year, by the way, for the Eagles.
Yeah. Morgan Moses was very banged up, and gutted it out.
Had to go out twice, yeah.
Yeah, Trent Williams finally couldn't do it anymore, so he was out. Spencer Long went out for a brief period of time. Who am I missing here, guys?
Did somebody go out on defense at one point? I don't think anyone did. But okay, no, I think that's it. I think those were the big ones on offense. Oh no, Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson got hurt in the end.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's injuries. It'll be more later in the week. Of course, the bad news is, Dallas Cowboys are coming to town. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. What are the takeaways in this game, guys?
This is a talented Eagles team. I think we saw the same. Look, we saw the. I don't want to keep harping on pressure and sacks, but it was 4 sacks week 1. It was 4 sacks this week. There's a lot of, I think, mirror images sort of from week 1. It was sort of the same thing happened. What can we say that we haven't already said? Our receiving core particularly, it's just not there yet. And we're not going to be able to keep up with an offense like Philadelphia. It's way too high octane. And Philadelphia always has these mobile quarterbacks that can run. We can't really contain that. Like you said, that's always been our problem. This was an ugly game, but frankly, we all predicted a loss, didn't we? I don't think we can.
The three of us did. I think Jamal predicted a win, but the three of us did predict.
He did that, I think, begrudgingly too. I think he was just
trying
to be the optimist.
Exactly. So one of us can be right, so we can be right every week. So I wouldn't be too depressed about this. It was an ugly game, but I feel like I saw this coming.
We all saw it coming. As a matter of fact, I think I even predicted 30. I think I had either 31 or 34 points in the prediction. My takeaway. Oh, by the way, Nick Rose, the new kicker, made his field goal, made his extra points.
Yeah.
He had just a horribly ugly onside kick. We need to practice that, Nick.
Yeah. He had kind of a wobbler kick too. They said it was the hold, but it looked like an okay hold to me.
Yeah. But good grief. The onside.
That onside was bad.
Yeah, it was awful. But anyway, point is he didn't hurt us. So Nick Rose, no doubt, survives another week. So congratulations to the Rose family. By the way, did you guys see this video of him
doing a backflip? Yeah.
And oh God. Okay, let's see this. Okay, let's describe this for the audience. This is in college, and what happened was there's a guy holding the ball. They're at maybe the 5 yard line,
Yeah.
and so Nick does a backflip, and then the guy with the ball throws the ball up in mid flip, and then Rose kicks the ball while he's upside down, and it went through the goalpost. It was unbelievable.
Wow,
That's why he has the job.
Yeah, that's why he's in the NFL, and we're
I'd
doing
hire
a
him, yes, solely
that's why
off of that.
that's why he's in the NFL. I'm doing a podcast in my garage right now.
Right.
Well, yeah, let's get him on the show. Let's do it.
Hey,
Yeah,
we've
maybe
had
we'll
every
need
other
to.
kicker, you know.
Say, okay, Nick, what's it like to take somebody else's job?
Well, so does that mean does he get your game ball then, Steve?
No. Are we doing game balls? Okay.
We should. I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind
why
of the
not?
thing.
All right. I guess I'll go first then, huh? Game balls. I'm gonna start with offense. I'm gonna give a game ball to Morgan Moses.
That's a good one.
Playing with-
Because playing as injured as he was very clearly, struggling the entire game, almost the entire game, and I thought he did an admirable job considering the state of his injuries. That and quite frankly, nobody else with the ball really deserved to get it. So that was defense is a tougher call. I almost said Quentin Dunbar until he came up with a face mask penalty, so he doesn't get it. I'm gonna give. I guess I'm gonna give a game ball to Zach Brown simply because he's the one guy that consistently produces at a high level, and he's been there. He's not been hurt. He's been producing 13 tackles. Get the stat right off the top of my head sitting here right now, but he's up and very high in the list of tackles in the NFL right now. So
he is.
Morgan Moses and Zach Brown. I don't know if either of them want a game ball from this game, but you're going to get it.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone in this game really deserves a game ball, would be what I would say.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to kind of cherry pick some things to give game balls to, even though, maybe you're getting deflated game ball. So let's give one.
Nice. Deflated game. I like that. Okay.
Okay,
I
we're
like
going to
that.
give one to Chase Rouillet. He came in, filled in for Long when Long went out with an injury at center, which, let's be honest, filling in at center probably one of the hardest things to do, in an emergency situation, and then switch right to guard after that. So, he gets a game ball for just, that's never an easy task, and I don't care necessarily. As long as you don't get your ass kicked each play, which he didn't, you're doing a good job. Defense is tougher. You know what? I got it. Breland, who we thought would barely be able to walk onto the field, came in, broke up a bunch of plays, made some really nice tackles in the run game early on. So he'll get my game ball on defense.
Breland, who the coach said is what did he
Gumby.
say?
He called him Gumby.
Yeah, he's made like Gumby or something.
Yeah. He's Gumby.
Yeah.
Gumby. Okay. These are some dubious deflated game balls we're giving out tonight, guys.
Well, we're trying.
When
makes
the when your right tackle gets a game ball, that means it's a tough game.
You give it to a tackle. I give it to the backup guard and center.
Yeah, you're true.
Yeah,
That's true. That's even worse.
Chase Rouillet, yeah, that's quite an honor. Okay. I guess I don't know. Vernon Davis maybe for ripping off a couple nice catches.
Sure.
On offense. Or Jordan Reed, frankly, too. A tight
Two
end.
touchdowns. You can't. Yeah, I mean, one's garbage, but still.
Right, exactly. Jordan Reed would have been nice to see a little bit more from you earlier, but did better in the second half. I guess I'll give it to Davis. Defense, I don't really want to give it to Zach Brown. I think we didn't we have a week where we all gave one to Zach Brown?
I think so, but I just didn't have a better option in my head.
No, trust me, I hear that. I know the struggle. I will go. Let's go Kerrigan, because I think you're right on that, Alex. He should definitely be credited with at least one more full sack than what's listed here on ESPN. So I'll go Kerrigan. I like your goofy dance, man. Nice to see it again.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, by the way, Vernon Davis is the other guy that's performing at a real high level. We sort of neglected to mention that before, but on offense, he's performing at a level unexpected of a guy who's 105 years old in football terms.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely. And he's
Well-
tough as hell. He's a real tank, but it's just easy to oversee in a game like
Quite
this.
frankly, he's doing better than Jordan Reed at
Oh, yeah.
the tight end.
I mean,
This
listen,
year, hell-
I know Jordan Reed is actually hurt, and from what I'm constantly hearing in the local media, apparently he's playing through a lot of pain with this whatever he's got in his sternum injury. But yeah,
You got to imagine something's off with him.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So
been
many
very
people
obvious.
come up to me and ask me about Jordan Reed, you know, knowing that we're pseudo Redskins experts here,
Right.
you know, and I keep telling them it's bound to happen at some point.
right.
You know, he's bound to get healthy and break out of this thing. Wasn't today. I mean, you know, he had 0 targets and 0 yards and 0 catches, you know, in the first quarter.
right.
Yeah.
But it was certainly a positive uptick. We'll say that much.
Eight
Yeah.
catches
still
and 2
didn't look like-
touchdowns is definitely an uptick for him.
He still didn't look like himself, I didn't think,
No.
but it was things to come. But the bottom line is, unless this team gets a receiving core that can receive the ball in some sort of expert fashion, it's just
Right.
not going to happen for this offense this year. That's
Hey-
the bottom line to me.
Yeah, and this is I'm sorry. I hope I didn't interrupt anyone. I was just going to ask, what does this mean for the? I mean, this makes the race a lot tougher for the NFC East, obviously. At this
We're
point.
going for the wild card. We're not even going for the East at this point. I feel.
Well,
like.
yeah, I mean, the
Totally
bottom line is
stretched
we're 2.5 games behind the Eagles now, and they have the
They've
tiebreaker.
got the breaker. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically, I mean, absent a collapse by the Eagles, which of course is possible because it's NFL football and you never know. You know, I think it's the chances of winning the division are just went out the window with absent something extraordinary happening.
Right. Go for second place in the wild card, and 9-7 is still feasible. Realize that, you know.
And my malaise and depression here over this game will disappear quickly if we beat Dallas.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
that'll right all wrongs.
You,
That'll
you
kiss
know what
the
they
boo-boo.
say. Any Redskin fan thinks a 2-10 season with 2 wins versus Dallas is a good year. You know?
is a win. I like that.
I don't know what first of all, a 2-10 season would mean something
Or
awful.
sorry, not
happened.
2-10. It's late. 2-14.
Right. 2-10. Yeah.
I'm
That's
going
a strike
19,
year or something.
like 40s. 12 game season.
All right. So, well, before we end, guys, what did you guys predict for the final record this year?
Oh God.
I could
You
look it up
remember?
if you want to waste a minute. Just stall.
No,
I
go
remember
ahead.
mine
No,
was-
go ahead and look it up. You know, because I think go ahead and look it up, Alex, and I'll just babble until you get it.
Mine
I
was 6
think-
and 10. I know mine was 6.
Mine was more positive, and it wasn't really intentional. And remember, Mark Bullock was horrified that he had picked a winning record.
Yes,
When
I
we
do.
did this.
That's right.
I wasn't really intentionally going for a winning record. For me, it's just you pick the games and whatever it turns out, it turns out.
Right.
But I'm certainly more pessimistic now than I was before because I thought they were going to take one of these 2 Eagles games,
Yeah.
and frankly, they've looked bad in both. So it's
Yeah.
I'm more
Steve was
pessimist
at
now.
9-7. I was at 8-8. Jamal was at 10-6. And Mark.
8-8.
Yeah.
8-8's looking good.
Yeah. Mark
8-8's
Bullock said
looking
9-7.
real good.
what were you,
Oh,
Sean?
Mark. You
Hmm?
you naive fool, Mark. No,
What-
I'm just kidding.
what were you-
I was 6 and 10. So
That's
I
what
think
I
the
thought.
truth is going to be. I think Alex probably hit the nail on the head this
Well.
year.
Well, listen, if I can inject a little bit of positivity as we close the show into this,
Yes,
some of these teams were,
please do.
yes, we have a tough next 3 games, right? We've
This is
got
a very
Dallas,
tough
we've got
schedule.
Seattle, there's no doubt. But some of these teams we're playing aren't quite as good as everybody thought. Okay, the Cardinals stink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cardinals are coming up, and so don't we have Carolina? I mean, Carolina.
Carolina looks awful. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not nearly as good. Even Seattle has a ton of offensive line problems, right now, and so that's a team where you can put some pressure on the quarterback.
Mhm.
Yes, it's in Seattle, but it's not, I think, the automatic loss that we all thought. So
Right.
it's possible that if we get through the next couple games, even in not 0-3 fashion, it's possible that we could turn it around and have a better second half than
Sure.
we are having a first half.
I
And
mean-
we've
I
got
mean-
the Giants twice coming up.
Yeah.
The Giants are a horrific team in every way.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, and we thought the
Keeping
Giants were
hopes
going to
alive.
be good. We thought the Giants were going to be maybe the division champs.
Mhm.
So that's 4 games that look like losses that they really should win. And 2 Giants games, the Cardinals and Carolina. So if there's a positive right now, that's it. There may be light at the end of the tunnel.
They
Or the light
gotta
may
be
be
healthy for
extreme,
those
but-
games, and not lose them because they've lost half their starters or some reason like that. But
I mean, and the light may be a freight train, but I'm just saying there is a light.
No, it's fair. I just hate to think, we certainly played those 49ers pretty close. Those, like any of these teams that don't look so impressive,
Yeah.
Don't sleep on anybody in the NFL. Not this team.
Well, this is the franchise that, allowed the, 0-18 Detroit Lions
0-19,
to, was it 19?
Break that loss streak. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
we have a habit of doing that.
And on that note, folks,
On that note, have a great evening. We'll obviously be back with you. In fact, we got our preview episode coming up in just a couple days, so be on the lookout for that. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.
yuck.